Welcome back, League Nighters. We're here again with our third installment of our T-work video. So we've already done getting warmed up, hitting up the middle. We have done hitting to the backside or for a righty to right field. Now we're going to do to a pull side swing. So this is a little bit of information on how to properly hit a pull side swing and to learn that by hitting off the tee. I know it sounds easy, everybody thinks they can pull the ball, but there's actually some nuance to it that I think is really important. So we're going to show you a little bit about that here in today's video. But if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you like, what you don't like, so that way we can make better videos in the future, and check it out.
We're back to talk about kind of the third big piece of tee work, which is the pull side swing. So episode 1, we covered just the warm up and working middle. Episode 2, we went backside and anywhere from like the 3-4 hole to right down the line. So we needed to finish our kind of third part of this, which is pulling the ball. So what you'll see here is we've got our tee set up in a different location than we saw in parts 1 or part 2. What we're really focusing on here is putting the ball in a position that we would attack if we wanted to pull the ball either between the 5-6 hole or down the line. You'll see the addition of a bucket here. So one of the things that you're going to see as we talk about the pull swing is you're going to come out and you're going to get that ball a lot earlier than you would if you're going middle or backside. Right? So when we talk about backside, we really talk about letting the ball travel to almost or to the plate itself, and then repositioning your body to go that direction, or middle, you're going to go straight. So what you're going to see is on the pull swing, we're actually going to open up a little bit and attack it so we can get that full extension. But what that means is you're going to be catching the ball a lot earlier, which means, you know, when we're talking about arcs, you're going to catch it higher, right? So what you see is we got the bucket. The tee that we've got here goes, I think, 42 inches roughly. This allows you to put it higher than that. So this is probably maybe about 4.5 feet.
Yeah.
Maybe even.
It's basically at the letters of, you know.
Yeah,
uniform.
you know, chest high.
Yeah.
You'll even see we'll move it up to maybe shoulder height too. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to simulate the ball being at a higher arc than it would normally be. And you'll also see, you know, when we talked about where we made contact for backside, it was anywhere between, you know, maybe like 6 to 9 inches in front of the plate to at the plate itself. When we talked about middle, we lined the tee right in the middle and we put it, you know, 12 to 18 inches in front. So now what we're doing is lining it up on the inside corner, and we're probably almost a full 2 feet in front of the plate. You can, you know, move this around a little bit, and when you start getting into the more refined swings, and so we might get into like an advanced course stuff when we talk about, you know, letting the ball get high and travel and then taking it backside. Like, that's an advanced technique that we'll get to at some point in time, but for now, we're talking about, hey, this is an inside pitch. We know we want to pull it to the left side. Here's where you want to be attacking the ball. Here's how you want to attack it. And this is kind of where your target is. So if you can see over there, we've got the black bucket and the orange bucket. That's roughly simulating the 5-6 hole, or the hole between the third baseman and the shortstop. So if we're going to put it down on the ground, that's kind of where our target is. Otherwise, we're going to try and hit line drives over the infield. Let's do it. Again, as we talked about, the thing is, we always want to be starting in our same stance, right? So you're going to put yourself in the same position you would go backside tee work, go middle tee work, or pull. You're always starting in the same spot. And what's happening is just changing how you attack the ball based on where it's pitched. So anything, Cam, that you focus on when you're trying to do this?
Yeah, big thing for me, again, especially when I'm starting, we kind of touched on this in some of the other videos too, is I try to start easy. So I try to start with like a 60 to 70% swing and get my spot. And again, doesn't really matter if I hit it too high, too low. Really, I'm just trying to get in the right direction. And then as I start getting my feel for the direction I'm hitting, that's when I start to ramp it up. Okay, now I'm 75%, 85%. I usually don't try to go any higher than 95% because I don't really swing more than 95% in a game.
Gotcha.
That's when you get crazy, but there you go.
But I'll keep emphasizing it. I emphasized it in parts 1 and 2. The big thing, at least for me, is keeping my head very quiet.
Yeah.
I actually this week watched a Ken Van Bogart video, and he was doing a swing breakdown, and he was comparing this guy to the swings of like Ryan Harvey and a couple of these other guys. And the biggest thing he saw was the guy, when he would go attack the ball, his head would move with him. And how it's like, you see these big power hitters, they're going to attack the ball, but their head doesn't move at all. It stays very sound. So one thing I'm trying to just ingrain in my swing is very quiet. Sometimes I miss. Which is why we do this.
Yeah, and another thing to note too, because we're starting with a higher pitch like this, so we've got the tee set up higher, that's actually going to happen more often. So that's something you're going to have to combat in your practice, is you're going to have to try to keep the ball down, because when that ball is higher up, it's a lot easier to get under it and to fly it out. So if you want to hit a line drive or you want to hit a hard ball to the left side, you got to make sure that you stay a little on top of it so that you can get the correct angle to hit that ball. There you go. That's what we're looking for. Good down the line shot. When you're working to go line 2, that's going to be your primary, like where we've got them set up right now. That's where you want to, most of the time, that's where you're going to want to try and aim for. That's your goal. But again, just like we talked about in the backside video, as you get more and more advanced and you get more and more comfortable with this, you may start to try to practice an exactly down the line swing, just like we tried a little bit in the backside. We were trying it down the right field line. But again, that's like phase 2. You want to get through phase 1 before you get through phase 2. And like we said, trying to keep the ball down, but it's hard when the ball's up high. So we're seeing that right now. I assume you're not trying to hit home runs right now.
That's more like what I'm going for.
Yeah. Yeah, those hard line drives or hard grounders through the hole. Basically, hit the third baseman, hit the shortstop in the ankles, right in between them. There you go.
Better. One thing that we'll really emphasize too is we talked about how you always want to try to get good extension on your swing. And if you go straight, there's no way you can get extension on that swing. So one of the things you're going to do is you're going to open up here and replace your hips to give yourself that trajectory there, and then you're going to be able to get a lot better extension that way. So it's really important as you spot that pitch, you say, okay, this is my inside pitch. Your foot is going to be changing your hip angle, as opposed to here for middle, here for backside. You're now here for pull.
There you go. Nice. Now you're finding your spot. When I start, I like to start like maybe just below chest level, so that way I can stay down on it a little more, and then I'll move up to keep staying down. So that's a big thing for me. Another big thing that has helped me a lot with this, and I see this a lot with kids at the baseball academy that I think really helps them, is when we did backside, I talked about throwing my hands in that direction. I think it's really important to throw your hands this way too. So a lot of people, what will happen is when they try to pull, they end up casting, and then they end up rolling over to the shortstop, which I don't care who you are, nobody can roll over a hard ball. Like it's always a pretty slowish chopper when you roll it over. So it's really important that you commit your hands to this side when you do it. So really make sure to do that. That's always the thing that I'm focusing on when I'm swinging for this pull side swing. As I said before, I'm going to start 60-ish% and then move up from there. This is, again, because this is higher, that's when I'm over chopping a little bit. So that's a thing I have to get used to at the beginning of my session all the time. Happens a lot. It's a good reason why you always need to warm up, especially before a game. You can't just take like 2 swings and say you're good. When I start doing this right, my hands start to commit to the space I'm trying to hit the ball to. There it is. That's what I'm trying to do every time.
Got him.
Robbed me. Oh, got too hard. So that's a good example of me trying to go up too fast as far as strength of swing. So I basically tried to jump from about 75, 80 to 95 right there. So I need to go back 75, find my spot again. And now I need to make a smaller increment. So I'm gonna try 80 or so. Give it a little bit more oomph. That's feeling better. Now we'll try to get 85, 90. And then 95 again is about where I top out. I try not to swing any harder than that, because again, then you start losing accuracy, you start losing form, all that sort of stuff you're trying to keep pretty regular every swing. It's hard to do that when you're swinging 100% all the time. A little high, a little high.
Nice. Let's see. We can't get it a smidge more inside and work that line a little bit. So I moved it even just a smidge inside, so it's probably lined up with this line here.
Yeah, this one may not be a strike right now. So this is one of those where you got a situation where maybe your left fielder is way off, your third baseman is way off, and you've got a plan. You know,
Yep.
This is what I want to do. I want to hit down this line. Now again, it's going to take a lot of practice, but this is how you practice it. That ball's almost just like, you know, on the backside hits, those balls were almost outside of the plate.
Yeah.
So these are inside of the plate or almost inside of the plate, depending on where you set up. So there you go. Short
Still
porch.
want to get that down.
Yeah. Now, on a normal field, only because our corners are really short here, the middle of the field fence is pretty deep, like normal, but just in the corners, we were looking at like 255. So on a normal field, that's not going to quite go over. So
That one, I at least got it down the line, which is more what you're trying to do. There we go. That's more like it. So if you can hit it low and hard, as long as you hit it hard, if that third baseman's a few steps off the line, he's not going to have enough time to get there. I came back a little bit.
yeah. So
There we go.
there you go.
You know, one of the other things too is you do want to simulate strikes, but you want to simulate strikes that you may not be completely comfortable with.
Yeah.
So you commented as I was moving this up, you're like,
Yeah.
did you mean to put it that high? Well, if I stand next to it, it's probably at shoulder height.
Yeah.
And if it's just 2 feet in front of the plate coming down,
Yeah.
it's probably going to come down in the strike zone.
Right.
So I have to make a decision, and it depends on whether or not I have a strike or not, but I might have to take this pitch and try to do something with it, and I may not be able to hit a foul.
Right.
So, you know, once you get comfortable hitting it, maybe, you know, breast high, you might want to start testing these other pitches out to just know what you can do with it if you get it.
Good. Yeah, I was saying the higher and higher it gets, just like you did there, he has to stay on top of it more. Because again, staying flat when you're actually above your shoulder line just a hair or where your shoulder sockets are is even harder. So you got to get really flat and you're almost going to feel like you're up and down. So it's almost like you have to raise up and come through. Now you'll see a lot of the pro videos. I know we've talked about a few before. I think one was the Tyler Irvine, the one where he did the cut swing, where we actually noted where his bat was above, like the end of his bat was almost like above his head, and then he came down through it and hit just the nastiest cut swing. So definitely something to keep aware of when you're doing high pitches inside like this. You got to stay on top of the ball in order to get it to go out there. And this is kind of optimal too for getting a cut on a ball. So that's like when you're seeing these line drives go out there, because you have to be so high, they're going out and they're staying up because you basically have no choice but to get a bunch of backspin on it, because if you get anything else, it's just a fly ball.
Yep.
So you're going to start seeing those when you come off of these hits too.
But yeah, like I said, one of the keys is, you know, you want to find your swing mechanics, and then you want to start challenging yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to just find, okay, this is my sweet spot. I'm just going to hit 50 balls in my sweet spot, and I'm good, right? Well, the pitch is not always going to be in your sweet spot. So you got to start changing heights, changing inside, outside, and T-work is a great place to start with that.
Yeah. There you go.
Woo! Warning track power. See, that's why you want to stay on top of it. That's okay. You can find seeing eye ground balls as long as it's where you want it.
Nice. There you go. Now we're gonna do the same thing Jay did. We're gonna move this thing up. So basically this is above my shoulder joint now. So a requirement, just as physics would require, I have to be down because I put the T there. So I have to get above this ball in order to stay flat. So I'm gonna try to get my hands way up. That's probably an exaggeration, but up and then coming down on it like this. This is a bit harder swing for me. I'm usually looking for a little bit lower when I do this, but again, this is an important swing to have, so thing I'm still practicing.
Nice.
A little bit too hard of a cut on that one, or too hard down on that one, so I need to flatten my angle out a bit.
Take that.
Yeah, I'll take that. Again, right at the angles there, or ankles there, I should say.
That's still through the infield.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that is our info on hitting pull side and learning that off the tee. Really hope you found it useful. Please, again, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. And if you have any suggestions for any future videos on what you might like to learn and hopefully what we can teach you, leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you'd like to see, and we will see you next time.